Okay. Where was I? Glasses aren't clean, as usual. Howdy. I don't know why Streamlabs is being weird, but it's acting like I've never used it before, which is strange, because I use it more than 7 times a week. Anywho, I've got this Morkanaut. The very first step that I gotta take, getting this thing painted after priming, is to dry brush it, make it look all metallic. I may actually add a little bit of white to this metallic just so it comes up a little bit lighter. We'll see. I have some purples chosen out for airbrushing. I'm a little worried that they're going to come in a little dark. If I don't get some decent dry brushing up underneath this, I'm a little worried. I haven't actually messed with the stuff, so we'll see if that concern is legit or not. But I do have my white here if I need it. Guess I might as well just have a couple cups. Do a little mixing first. See how I feel about it, at least how it looks in the cup. Normally I would use chainmail, which is a little bit darker, a little bit blacker, using plata, which is straight up silver, because I want more of this to show through. If there's spots that I do want to have darker, I'll add some black wash to it or something. Always do that. Alright, a little squeezy here of this, a little squeezy here of that. I shouldn't have to add that much white to lighten this up. Okay, a few drops of that in. And I'll take an almighty shtick. Stir. Snap off a piece because we sure as heck don't need the whole thing. I'm not sure any of that white. That white just get gobbled up. No, it's lighter. Not by much. Maybe I'll add a little bit more to it. A few more drops. And then we will dry brush this whole bad boy. There we go. Yeah, it's lightening it up. Now I can just dip into this stuff, smush it around on here. Of course, it's going to look ultra bright. All the lights I have on this thing right now, but so be it. Oh my gosh, yeah, that is potent stuff. That is way wider than I thought it was going to be, but it's all good. It's essentially what I intended. It's just wicked strong. Between starting with a much lighter paint to begin with, and then adding the white to it, much more so than it appears in that cup. Things got loud. That's good though. I think that'll work out. Duly noted. I may do this again in the future. Yeah, that is fearsomely potent. Everything that goes over this will not have to suffer from it being too dark. I should have left those missiles off, made my job a little easier, but it's all good. might have to grab the tinier little dry brush that I've got to get in there. You know what? I could leave it darker. It should be shadowed in there, but I should try to sneak this guy in there a little bit. There too. Alright, that's not gonna fit. Alright, we'll grab the small one. I do have a small one, right? I do. That I do. Just such occasions. Got a paper towel over here that I can smudge on too. Do want to get all over this gear that's underneath here. The mounting for this absolutely has got texture that's just begging for it. But no rush. No rush indeed. The edge is nice and hard, so sort of some bonus edge highlighting underneath the stuff that's going to happen. I'm going on with a lacquer paint. I really should have left these guys off. I'm almost tempted to snip them off and glue them back on. I'm gonna leave them on. We'll see how much of a pain in the butt that is later. There's something called foreshadowing. In here a little bit. That doesn't need to really be symmetrical, but there is texture there you want to hit. This guy underneath is way lighter. Way lighter than his brother. Paint I'm putting on him way darker. Or the lacquer that I'm putting on him. So there's method to this madness, but you can see like that is like almost aluminum rather than silver. This is silver plus white. Lo and behold, get something pretty light out of it. Screamingly light. Like brushed metal. Oh, this piece is weird and in the way. I just pull out the smallie again. Very satisfying dry brushing with this much contrast, though. Like magic. So you want to make sure you get all these little bolts and bits. But I'm gonna have to add some more paints to this because it's. I could go in 2 passes, I guess, but I do want the actual straight up metal panels to lighten up quite a bit. All the way around this guy. That's holding up well. Oh yeah, it's going to beat the daylights out of this brush. All the Orky spikes tear up dry brushes. Good though. I mean, There's no denying where the detail is in that now. But, you know, my purpose is twofold. I really do have to lighten this up quite a bit. For example, that's right, yeah, it's even called Abyss. The lacquer that's going on this is like hyper purple Kool-Aid. I may actually lighten that up a little bit because I do have some purple lacquer, light purple, and I may just put a little dribble of that in there if it gets too dark. But it's a color shifty paint, so like don't want to put too much of anything else in it. I don't want to take out all that color shift. There's definitely lots to learn this time about color shift lacquers. Do I want to get in there? Yeah, I want to get in there a little bit. Squeegee that guy in there. Yep. Underneath here. All that detail. Where the electricity comes through. You can tell because the orcs labeled their stuff with iconic symbols. True story. Oh yeah, your beautiful face. All that texture popping. Some of this will get chrome over it. This guy's brother, most of his face accoutrement got chrome. Having a little bit of something lighter underneath while you're painting can maybe just to help you pick out details that are in there. Priming's very flat. Very flat. Just in terms of how you observe the model while you're working with it. And dry brushing is kind of helpful as well. Scratch in there. Spin this guy around, let him rotate. Very unlikely that people are going to be staring down the barrel of this guy. His head is going to be recessed. A little cubby hole. But there's no reason to be lazy about it because I was going to find a weird angle later on and be like, I wish I sort of hit that too. Just so that it's not matte black hiding back there. Nice detailed face. Alright, I'll have a sip of tea and a puff before embarking on the actual thick piece. So this hole right here, that's absolutely where the head goes in. Make enough progress. At the very least on that I can start masking the bits. I'll pull my other guy out as reference, but I think last time around it was like, I don't know, right here. We're probably going to use the same method this time, so there'll be one color that's this and this, yep, and then the head casing, and a separate color for the feet and the side panels. Easy to remember. Also easy to screw up if you don't take a minute and actually look at it. And the darkest color is going to be on this front plate. This piece here, and the head back here, so I'm not going to be bashful with how this dry brushing goes. A little too light, I can always hit it with more paint. Or lacquer when the time comes down to it. See all the little scratches coming through. Proper Ork technology. Don't waste anything. All those pieces of metal, gubbins and bits, got value. You want to be careful. Sometimes overdo it a little bit on like strong edges like this. Like I'm literally just jamming the brush up against there because it's giving me some nice strong edge, highlighting this underneath all the work that I'll be doing later. It'll be a good starting point for contrast. So yeah, pretty clear there. I mean, dry brushed, not so dry brushed. Get the excess off on this paper towel. I definitely want to hit these raised bits from a few angles. Once again, to try to capture those edges as best I can. Hardware up there. Forget the inside. I have to go to the smaller brush in some little spots in here. Oh yeah, it looks terrible. It absolutely looks like some human used a brush. That's alright. It's gonna be darker in there. Human did use a brush. You can see all those bits in there. I want those to stand out if possible. Those bolts that are on the inside, no one's ever going to see this, but I'll know it's there. When you do pop them open, there's something fun inside. At least it doesn't look like no one ever painted anything on it. Get some of those physical texture bits to pop. Get a little bit radiant behind where his head's going to be. Clankety clankety. Alright. Obviously, you want to look from several angles and all that good stuff. I gotta be careful around these spikes, they're sort of notorious for coming off. They do have a lot of texture on them. Don't want to miss it. Interesting, I normally go with a much darker metallic, but I'm starting to wonder, considering I'm almost always undercoating, going this light is just the way to go. This whole thing's getting airbrushed, but not this much contrast on it. It's gotta be better. One would think. What I would normally use would be chainmail Viejo, which is like kind of close to lead belcher. A dash lighter, obviously thinner because I'm gonna Citadel pot. This is silver with white in it. It's just so much clearer. And duh, obviously you can have more contrast if I'm doing something lighter, but I didn't realize how pronounced it would be. Underside of door. See you. It's dramatic. Should have left that off too. I was so excited building this that I sort of left a lot of sub-assembly sanity by the wayside. Oh, good. There's some fun spots to try to get into. Still a little bit of articulation on this guy, but not a ton. Do my main pass and not struggle in too many spots, and then there may be a second pass. There's almost certainly going to be a second pass with a tinier brush. The way that's got to be. Highlight some stuff. Super light but heavy on the paint, like touch, heavy on the paint. Some spots where you just want little dots and wires and cabling to come screaming out of the model. Some spikes. Oh, let's get in there. Yeah, that's good stuff. I know practically everyone says this, but it's true. Nothing quite like dry brushing when you're a total novice. Like, just something magical about it. Novice I am. Just kind of neat to look at. Especially right after priming when so much of the texture of the model is kind of hidden. Digging for treasure. Top that leg there, I did. Scratch it there. This is all stuff that's going to go underneath a ton more paint. airbrushing the lacquer does make a huge difference. What the underneath is like, detail sort of still pops. But it's kind of doubly important for me to do because with the airbrush lacquers that I'm using, the most I'm going to do to wash this thing or edge highlight it, I'm not going to really edge highlight it, so I'm getting a lot from this to just hide underneath, creep through. At most, I'll wash this with an extremely thin down black wash afterwards. And like by extremely, I mean probably like minimum of 10-1, maybe even like 2 passes of 20-1. If you want any recently hard contrast on there, you got to really get it in there before the lacquer gets on there. Apologize in advance for later on when I gotta throw on the fan and the mask. That lacquer is like hallucinatory. Some things that don't seem like they're toxic, but they are. Airbrushing lacquers, man, you know immediately. You're like, oh boy. Should be wearing a gas mask. Got my window open, but this whole thing's a fan that'll blow out. That stuff is dirty. The one spot that I will wash with a lot of black will be all these blowers. I can bring these guys up as high as whatever in terms of contrast. I will hit them with like 1 part black, 2 parts brown wash, like an umber. Make them look like smokesmen coming out the back. They won't get painted. I'll cover over them with some paste or whatever. These electric bits and gubbins on top need to shine. Still don't know exactly how I'm going to handle them. What I have for crazy blues, they're going to get their own treatment. Guns will be chrome. I don't have to hit all this guy, but this is... or pilot that's in here, or spotter. I don't know what his job is. I don't want to presume. It's going to be a pain in the ass to paint because I put these guns over his head and I probably should have waited. But after this step, then I got to go in and do a whole bunch of masking. Bunch of chores. On video, dry brushing is like lottery scratchers. It's like that in person. All kinds of like, especially with how blown out the lights are, it's like the matte black finish of primer and then just having all this stuff kind of scream out at you. It's definitely cool. All these edges. And welcome. Welcome, Heretical Wretch. So then, scooch that in there a little bit. I'm just trying to pick up all these little fiddly details that are hiding in here. Reminding myself that a lot of this is going to be chrome, but a lot of it ain't. Chrome covers all, but this paint is necessary. Yep, that's I. I'm going to do a little bit slightly heavier brushing in a few spots, mostly the edges that are up top. This is going to make a crazy difference, but the place that I want to have specifically be bright, I might as well lighten up a little more assertively. Tops of these guns, be pretty heavy on that. This top plate here, just go a little nuts on the top areas. Quick peekaboo around it. Spots I haven't hit. Two nuts in there. Alrighty. Give this guy another spin. Two. I don't actually think I'm going to need a crazy second pass now that I look at him. In pretty good shape. Remind myself just how much airbrushing is going to happen. Should hit this thing a little harder though. I wonder, as far as the carcass of those knights, just how much you actually need. Is there another method to sort of emulate that? Like, especially for chaos, like, you might be able to get your hands on some, like, because I think about it all the time, like secondhand terrain. Like when I build the Stompa, I think most of its body is actually going to be from terrain bits, and like sometimes you can get terrain bits like relatively, not relatively cheap, but cheaper. But we'll see. You might be able to find some savvy solution. Yeah. A lot of it's timing. I'm sitting here cleaning all this silver crap off my brushes. I'm gonna let those sit with some alcohol on them. I picked it up, and we could play that crap sometime. I played like the single player tutorial, and I was like, that's pretty neat. And it is. Brush bigger is beaten to death. Let's see how clean this thing is. I mean, it's bigger than what I was going to use. Reasonable tip on it. Oh, look at that. Look at that grime in there. My cue to put a glove on. This stuff, just based on how much air is in the bottle, get down further on it. comes this rubbery snot. It's really quite awesome. That rubbery snot is what you're going to use to mask. Alright, so last time I was too thin with this stuff. This time there'll be no such issue. What I need to hit is like a pretty, like maybe a centimeter down the edge right here. So that when I hit this panel and this thing up here, I'm not airbrushing onto here. And I need to not be bashful about it. I'm a little bit gentler as an airbrusher than I used to be. But one of my airbrushes is down for the count. Very sadly. I wonder if it's both of them. One of these guys has to work. Let's find out. Let's see if I'm actually down two of these guys before I get started. Alright. Thing one. Maybe if they're both not working, I can actually determine what's up. That's one. Now on the ground. If this guy doesn't work, then I think my issue is actually this connector. Nope, this guy does work. Alright. Well, rule out some amount of BS. This guy I could set over here instead. Alright, let's mask this dude. He's going to get 2 coats of glove. Two coats, this stuff should peel right off. Of course, I did just dry brush it, so I'm very curious as to whether or not dry brushing comes off along with it. We'll cross one bridge at a time. Inside of this thing, there's look at that, buddy. All right. Just gonna crawl over that braid. Let's see there. Mask underneath. Essential, yeah, it's starting to peel. That's good. hope that second time's the charm on this. Definitely learned a lot from the first one and struggled peeling all this crap off of here because I made it so thin the first time. Now I'm a seasoned amateur to make this work. I also vastly overestimated my ability to aim an airbrush. Gave myself like a couple millimeters of masked area. That's silly. So bang, 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 and then cover this area. Myself what I did. Just sort of whole junk in the trunk area, including the legs will be the same. So I want to go down here. This top block is getting the same color as those front panels. Makes a bit life easier over there. Main thing is there's no reason to be shy with this stuff. That is what I've learned. And after I do it this way and I airbrush once, peel this all off and do it on the other side. Run them up. Alright, I will let that dry. I'm gonna wash this thing a little bit. Let that dry for a few minutes. Stuff is pretty squirrely. Gently put the cap back on for a little bit. Let that dry a little. I will put a second coat on. And I should be dangerous enough to airbrush this front section of the two doors, including the inside a bit. Gotta remember. In this top section. If I remember correctly, this guy. A lot of the hardware on the back that sticks out will end up chrome. If it gets a little airbrushy, that's fine too. This lacquer will sit underneath chrome, no problem. Yay! What's up, Spider Sausage? What a great name you have. Couldn't sleep, so here I am. Well, you're more than welcome to hang out and chill with your insomnia. We're letting some of this blue ammonium colored airbrush mask dry up, and then I'll put a second coat on it, and then we're going to do some really experimenty lacquer paint. Purple. You know what? There are little bits on here that I can also get. Don't have to worry about this thing. These things. Will that be chrome? I should cover it. Wouldn't call myself a seasoned pro, but I have used it. This will be the first time that I kind of have to hold myself to the standard of trying to use it right. I was super thin with it the first time. That was kind of the downfall because it gets really tough to peel off if you're ultra thin about it. It still will block the paint. Just the removal's kind of a pain in the keister. This time around, I'm just going to be pretty freaking liberal with it. Just get it on there, make my life easier. It'll take some more time for this stuff to dry, but that's all good. So I know this part's chromed, I don't have to worry about it. I don't think I want to mask this thing. Do I? What I'd do instead is hit this whole hinge. And of course, pour it all over the place. I'm putting way too much on the brush. Let's put more of it than let's put way too much. I just hit way too much button. As long as that's not going to keep dripping, I'll wait to peel that off a bit later. Yeah, this stuff's definitely neat. I mean, it evaporates very fast. It's just a matter of putting enough on so that peeling process is okay. With enough on there, just kind of get in there with some tweezers and it all just yoinks right up. Guy back here to just chill out. And hopefully this piece, all chrome, that's all chrome. I'm not setting myself for a huge amount of cleanup. Poster tack definitely works. In fact, in some of these spots I'm doing, I'd probably be better served to use that. I have other glop. Probably a way better place for it. That is, I'll find it. What I'm doing right now is trying to get more experience with this stuff. But I have some putty that is like very reusable. It's originally for like camo. So like you airbrush down one whole pass and then put a splotch pattern on it. Then airbrush the second pass and you get camo out of it. Dig it up. There's probably a couple spots on here that will be necessary. I absolutely used it to great effect on the chain sword that my knight rampager had on him. Where did I put that crap? Funny. Remember where I put it? Did some basing right after. such a mess. Well, can't find it when I need it. But I got some. I'm El Cheapo. I thought it said El Chapo when I turned my head. Yeah. Scratch building from trash. Amen. Good living. This second pass is just getting enough on here. It does stick to itself nicely. But when I get to the peeling process, it actually peels. Some of it, you gotta be careful because some of it will start sticking pretty early if you don't get this brush wet enough. It's certainly fun though. Like, I could definitely see using this around Halloween for all sorts of skin mask horror stuff. It's pretty quick. It's right down to business. Stuff is notoriously brutal on brushes, though. Should probably give this guy a little rinse in a minute. I was working at an Old West saloon, but after 7 days straight burnout, side of Curse of the Work in Progress, yeah. Barely any progress in the last 2 days. Yeah. I mean, I think people are like pretty hard on themselves sometimes, maybe too much so. It is hard to find, I don't want to sound lofty, but like the muse sometimes. Like, art block is a very real thing. Just gotta be reasonable with yourself. Give yourself the space to relax and not make art. Yeah, every once in a while, I just like go play video games. Sometimes I'll stream that too, but like, right now, just like keeping it at a good clip. Part of me is like, I do want to get this army kind of done, and I got a lot of other stuff going on. Peeled some of it off. Let's try that again, buddy. Part of it is I know that I got a move coming up. I gotta sort out when I'll even be able to paint when that happens. Cutting each stick to size 1 by 1 and glue, that was a bit too tedious. Yeah, there is the element of, I mean, I absolutely run into this where I'll get to a certain step that in my head, I was like, yeah, okay, I'll take my time with this one spot. And then I don't. I'm like, you know what? This wasn't as important as I thought it was going to be. And it's totally me going like, I'm tired of doing this. I will rationalize my way out of certain steps. It's fine though. It's absolutely fine to do. You're your own boss. And as I've said before, like, this is also me cheating. Like, I I've turned this into like a ritual where I just get to like, this is fair. Like a large part of my social life outside of work is just hanging with my internet folks doing this. It's my therapy. The diorama I made absolutely ran into like, I'm gonna do all these things, and then I was like, man, I am tired of this diorama. Like, cut it. I have a decent amount of basing materials that like, I love them, but they're such a pain to prime them up. I don't mind painting them. Priming them's just garbage. And I've realized my basing process should probably just change. Like I've watched a couple videos now and people just like put everything down, unpainted, unprimed, whatever, prime the whole thing with all the stuff on it. I was like, that's kind of smart. Just glue the stuff down as plastic, prime the whole thing, then paint the whole thing. I need to use my airbrush on bases more often too. But like cutting hundreds of shingles, woof. That's like, that's rough. Like I don't think I'll ever have a ton of halfway done projects. Part of that is because I can make my peace with them and be like, wow, that thing really is done. And not go back to it, but I am excited to have more space where I can like lay some stuff out and let it be in various states. Because there's some things that benefit from that time. Like there are plenty of things that I should just like being able to sit down and prime a bunch of stuff and like let it cure overnight and then just have it primed and waiting would actually be good. Especially with this whole streaming thing. Like there are a lot of days where in the middle of the day, I'm like scarfing down lunch and like priming something so that in the evening I can try to go paint it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of use out of it for priming, that is for sure. I think I'm using it more on this Ork project than I probably will in the future. But that was part of this project. It was like, well, it's going to force me to use that airbrush. And, you know, putting the hours in matters. It just does. Like, there's no XP for free. You do not learn to drive the car while it's in park. But I've gotten pretty good with being able to just like pull it out, do something real quick, clean it relatively quick, put it back. I mean, I talk a mean game. I have no idea what's wrong with this guy right now, and I really do need to like potentially pull the whole thing apart and give it a bath and like bath in alcohol. I probably should do that. But just for priming, even if that was the only thing I used it for me, it would be totally worth it. Like, I'm supposed to get, let's recheck the forecast. Yesterday they were saying 12 inches, now they're saying 9. Let's see. Let's see what the weather forecast is. Winter storm warning. Bam. Precipitation. Oh yeah, we're getting snow. Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. So good. And an airbrush I just find to be patently better for priming. Like you just get a much thinner coat on it, so your coverage is better. Like with a rattle can outside, I did some pretty gnarly priming, and like some rattle can paints, like Wraithbone, like depending on the temperature and humidity, sometimes that stuff comes out like movie snow, special effects snow. Star morning, Wednesday, Tuesday. Can you give me the details on Tuesday? I think I want hourly forecast. But yeah, I am totally sold on the airbrush. But I know the more experience I get, I know the more experience I get with it, the more stuff is like gonna start looking really good. And frankly, for me, basing, especially because I've been trending towards a lot of bigger stuff, but even in a full pass, like if I was gonna do 7 more Plague Marines, I would do the bases maybe even first out the gate, and just having it to get like gradient color on it, pretty nice. I mean, now when I try to get a Zenithal, when I prime something, I hit it with black first, and then I have some decent, it's not bad, some, slow improver. I have some gray Army Painter primer, and I just put a few drops of white in it. It gets pretty light, and then it just little schwitz. Stuff kind of went all over the place. All right. Check that. I don't think I can tweeze this yet. Just can't with the claw grip. Yeah, I don't honestly know where I stand on the grip yet. Like I haven't messed around enough to like feel like I have a conclusive answer, but pistol grip does sound like it'd be good, but I'm starting to get comfortable with the craw. It just remains to be seen for me, really. This guy over back here. All right, I may be precariously close. This whole thing's gonna be chrome. I don't have to worry about that, boy. Get in here with one more Q-tip in a couple spots. But yeah, as a like crafting tool, the airbrush really is 100% worth it. Right, I hope I didn't just pull a bunch of that out from inside there. I didn't. And I do want to do like some more diorama stuff. I know for a fact the Halloween diorama I did last year would be 50 times better if I had actually had the airbrush by then. All right, let's glove up. We got to do some lacquer mixing. That's a thing. And I got to put my mask on because it's gonna get freaking spicy in here. Stuff is so spicy. Spill some isopropyl alcohol around. My homies. Get a towel up here. Scoop stuff into it. Alright. what I got is this like mega crazy purple called Abyss. And it is dark. It's like painfully dark. But I feel like I gotta start with it dark and see if I like it or not. I pull back on that. I have some SMS purple, which is relatively light. You gotta get it all mixed up. So I can put a dab of like lighter purple in it. Damn, that's actually working. But I probably should see how dark the dark is. Alright, well, let's make some space here. Clear things out. My slovenly, messy workspace. Alright, I need to mask up. Vent up, mix some crap. Like, I won't even open these bottles at this point without the mask on. Going in. I'm wearing work pants, so even if I get lacquer on them, I'm fine. Alright. Just think my way through this real quick. So I got all my stuff. Let's get out of there. I have a squeezy of lacquer somewhere. Like you. Put a little drop or two in there. I like went to smell it. I'm gonna freaking mask. Sometimes I doubt myself. Thanks for checking it out. It's a great model. It was way outside my skill ceiling at the time, but I had such a good time painting it. I love how it turned out. Like it did all the stuff I wanted it to. But yeah, it's a doozy. But yeah, it's only February. You gotta start waiting tables on the side. Oh yeah, this stuff is aptly named Abyss. It is super dark. I mean, I guess it would just be showing up in painting models vicariously for a bit. I don't know if you can see how dark that is, but it's wild looking. I am going to start it at full strength. See how that looks, and then I may be going over a certain spot or two of this with a thinned out version. And now it is time to vent this crap out the window. 3D printers are good. You get a lot of use out of them. I have a feeling this is going to need more than one coat. You can see it's got a purple to it. But it definitely needs some thickness. Not that much thickness, buddy. I think I probably have to do one decently light coat to start to get it to stick. And then go over it again. Stuff flows too fast too. So I'm spraying lacquer right now. And I think it just needs a coat or two of it. But it's acrylic lacquer, so it's like terribly fumy. It will break down other paints if you actually try to brush with it. But as far as wash goes, I love Seraphim Sepia. I use it actually on a lot of lighter colored whites. I use it for a lot of bone stuff, but I could use it. I don't think this stuff, because it's a color shift paint. So as I tilt it, in theory, it's got other colors coming off of it. It's going to be really tough for the camera to tell. But in person, I swear, there's like orange in there. I'm going to get the top part next. I just need to get all the way around this. I may have to dump some more of this lacquer in there. At this point, for this, I should be able to just spin it around. Switch it in there a little bit more. That it goes purple, blue, orange, gold. The orange and gold you have to have at a very oblique angle. And I think the lighting in here kind of washes it out a little bit. I wonder also how much of the pigment settles while it's sitting in the airbrush cup, but not much I can do about that. I'll give it one more dash of this stuff. I can actually see the difference a lot now live when it spins around. When I'm done with this pass, and some of this air moves around a little bit, I'll see if I can turn the thing a little. I probably have to turn a light around it, more so than turn the model relative to the camera. But based on the angle, it's definitely different.
That's all of that. So now all I gotta do is run some lacquer thinner through it and wash it. I will be leaving the fan on for a little bit, but I think I got that task pretty complete. So this one's definitely going like blue and purple on this one. My other one's a little bit more red and gold. The Morkanaut is red and gold. These guys put together can be pretty darn nasty. Alright, now I'll run some cleaner through it.
I love the sound of that. I'm gonna take 5 and just let this room's air clear out a little bit. I'll be back in a few. Alrighty. So, I just did the same spawn. Major Bits Market coming up next Wednesday. Is that like a local thing? A Bits Market? I need to get on that. Yeah, I can kind of see through these still. Alright. So. Get the light on. Sort of see it turn reddish. There's a little bit of gold in there. Ah. Oh, maybe another light. Depending on the angle, it changes a bit. And then for reference, that's his brother. It's a good family. So this light blue that's on here, I gotta peel that off now. And then I do think I want some sort of blue on there. I have laser face stuff, which is pretty light, but it might work. And I will take a piece of wood so I can smush things a bit. Peel with these tweezers. We'll see if I did a better job this time than I did the first time. This is all coming up in one pull, which is nice. Much better than last time. Way, way better. Obviously going to be some work to do behind the door. And that was going to be the case, no matter what. It is peeling way better than it did last time. Way more on. Put it on further. And it is pretty fun peeling this crap off. Pretty cool stuff. I like it. I scratched a little bit. Just a little bit of stuff between the door, but that seems to be coming up all right. Just doing cleanup. Too shabby. Piece of wood. Sort of give it a tug and a pull. Get the edge up. Not scratching things up too much. Got something blistered. It's all peeling out. Look at that. Dope. So this is some skill that I need, and it'll come with working with this mask a little bit more. Just really getting right up to that edge perfectly. Still not that good at that. Obviously something inherently straight like masking tape. Really good for straight edges, but for this round stuff, kind of tough to do that. But I gotta get in there a little bit better. It might make sense for me to like go with a relatively fine, albeit cheap throwaway brush. This stuff demolishes brushes on the first pass, and then a little thicker on subsequent ones. Very elasticy. I'm very pleased that this stuff will just pull out of a crevice pretty reasonably as long as you lay it on thick enough. Pull it from the bottom a little bit. Terrific. Yeah, for all this texture stuff like this lamp, having this stuff just peel straight off of it, amazing. Amazing. Just shake some of this stuff off of here. I gotta empty this trash. God, this thing is like, I haven't emptied this trash since I started this orc stuff. Bag is full, laden. Try to brush thing up off the ground. Thankfully, it's colored light blue. It's not too tough finding all your little cracks and crevices where this stuff is gotten stuck in. Pardon the pun. Reasonably dad jokey, and yet pertinent and on point. Obviously, when you're using sharp-tipped tweezers, you want to be kind of careful. You don't stab the model. Bits on it. And I gotta be thorough about this, not just for posterity, but my next coat of paint mask the opposite direction. All this stuff nice and clear. Again, I'm just using this piece of wood because it's soft. Get the edge of this crap up. And I can sneak in with the tweezers. Be a little bit more surgical about it. There's an edge on there. Using something metal to pull up the edge of this, not a great idea. Bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. Get the back here. You see some little glop in there that I can gag and hand hold on. Hope it's dry. Looks appears to be so. There we go. Oh yeah. Alright, all in that crevice. Nice and decently clean line. Not perfect. Better than I could have done without it. I am actually going to use the super sharp part of this and scrape away a little bit of gunk that's just wedged way in here. Like a 90-degree angle. Scratch and there's no biggie. Alright, checking behind these doors. There. Side, not too much left. This side looks pretty clean, except up in this corner. And this door, pretty clean. Leg, just got one little booger here. Good one though. So I didn't apply this stuff as liberally even in terms of real estate last time. And I found that I had a lot of spots that would have benefited from staying this metallic that I wasn't going to chrome over. So this time I pushed further and gave myself about a solid centimeter of space. Sure, when I get better with the airbrush, I won't need as much, but I definitely saved myself some woe. By painting more of this crap down, and thicker definitely helps. Feeling skin. Some wood here. A little smush. There we go. Now it's a good booger for me to attach to. Yeah, obviously a little bit more effort to get this stuff off than a piece of masking tape, but I have neither the skill or patience to like masking tape up that whole edge there. It's just unrealistic. Not going to happen. Not a hill I want to die on. Alright, so I'm just giving this one last once over. See funny little spots where some of this crap dripped in. Clear them up. Should be able to move on. What I think I'll probably do is a color test for the other paint that I want to use. I have one weapon that's masked up. I can try it on there, and if I don't like it, I can go over it in this purple, or something, or try something else. Couple spots down here where I just kind of barely touched the piece with the mask. Error, most likely. This is how the entire thing was to clean up last time. It was like all this much detail. Definitely learning and moving in the right direction. Any of the spots that you like sort of barely hit, you're gonna be in there with the tweezers for a while. Right, that's pretty good. Set my tweezers aside. Dump out this extra glop. I can think about mixing up some paint for round 2. Now, the interesting thing about round 2 is that I'm not using acrylic lacquer. I'll be using acrylic paint, which is going to be much easier to work with. I will still turn the hood on. It will not be as precarious. And I'm just going to use a little bit of this as a test. Clean these little dishes, outflow dishes out a little bit. The second night this year that I've been sitting around waiting for it to snow while painting my models. Let's see. Let me refresh this a second. Oh yeah, it's not going to snow for a while. I'll be long gone by the time it starts. Brief little stretch break, but I think I'll hit this guy with this other laser face color and see how that works. It's a small piece of real estate. I've already got this masked. I've got the edge of this thing masked, which means I can just get in there, try this paint out, see if I like it, and then go masking a bunch of other stuff. I do feel like this purple, and the same was true with the Morkanaut, that like as it cures, it definitely needs several layers, but as it cures up, the color becomes more evident. Hate this guy's butt. Now, last time I left the legs off, which was kind of a pro move. Not pro, but mediocrely smart move. Wasn't smart, was putting them on backwards, but it's all good. Ah! Found some peely stuff that I never took off last time, see? I used to go back and revisit. That's been done for like a month. I left some of this glop on him. Process never ends. Hey, back in business. More shingle work. I do have the ultimate respect for that kind of stuff, and I think on my next diorama, what I learned from my first one is that like there really are no shortcuts. I think for my next diorama, it's going to be like something like that, like stonework, where I'm just like sitting there with tweezers, laying in a path, tiny little stones, just treating it like I would in real life, like fitting this one, fitting that one. You can see the difference. Just can. Definitely a labor of love. Now I think I got it. So, my next coat, the entire back of this stays dark. The legs, I'm missing those hinges, and I'll definitely use putty on these things. Gets hit. That's a mask here, a mask there. Still love this guy. This guy whose sole job is just pull the trigger on this thing. I don't even think he aims it, really. Maybe he does. Good gig. This is a very good use of the meat. Very good use of the meat. Yeah, I think for the next diorama, it's going to be something with like a lot more elevation, and it's not going to be. I guess it won't even really be a diorama. It'll just be a scene. But I think I'm going to do something like like a ruin that's got some verticality to it. Like the first one I did is basically like it's flat. It's got a little bit of a hill in it, with a small crypt in the back. It's got a pond. But I think I want to do something that's like sort of like two wall, no ceiling, maybe a ledge kind of ruin. And I may do it brick by brick. That's good suffering. Alright, I am going to procrastinate for a minute or two before I fire up the airbrush again and get noisy. Alright, well, let's see what this laser face has to offer. Goes on. Not sure how much medium I'm gonna have to add to this thing, but we'll find out. So some little cups. There's a non-zero chance that I really don't like this color. It's possible. I haven't worked with it yet. I certainly haven't airbrushed with it. I think I put a tiny dab over some black primer at one point. But it might look cool. This is also sort of a test for when I work on my last night for my 4 Horsemen of Chaos, and that one is dedicated to Slanesh, and so this kind of like purple with somewhat pink and gold in it, I think it's going to work pretty well. I have no idea how much medium to throw on this thing. No idea, but I feel like I need a whisk. Alright, I gotta add some more paint to this bad boy. Those lacquers, like, you go through a lot of them. They're so thin. You gotta like add coat after coat. This stuff, I shouldn't need all that much to get coverage. I don't know. This might mix well. If anything, this might just need a little bit more blue, and obviously it's a little bit easier add some blue to this than it is when working with lacquers, because you got to add lacquers to lacquers and paints to paints. Suit up.
But if this paint doesn't work out, it's fine. We'll adjust accordingly. On this, run it through, and make it noisy. Almost doesn't look like anything. Now they do claim that you have to hit this thing with like several coats. But geez, it really does not look like I put any paint on there. I'm just hitting it with some air to see if I can get it dry real quicker. There's a lot to like about it. I just feel like it needs some more color in it. Ho 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 ho. feel like it too. Alright, well, I think I'm going to have to do a pile of coats of this crap. I'm genuinely unclear if I'm doing this right or wrong, but they do say that you might need like 5 coats. So I best be prepared for that, I suppose. The issue is right now, I'm not even sure if I like this next to that. Like, it's too similar. So what I may need to do, somehow get some blue into the mix there. Like, I'm tempted to add some Proxagore scales to it. There's also the potential that, like, this would be good underneath it. Like, put this underneath and this over it. But right now, that's just like, that's 2 thick coats, and I can see all the particles in it, but it's really hard to spray on cleanly. Like, I think exactly this will be good on, whatchamacallit, on my last night. Right now, I'm just not feeling it. It's rainbowy. I do like the color shift on it, though. Alright, well, I am going to get experimental because I can. If I don't like it, I will grab some isopropyl alcohol and a toothbrush and clean this guy up. I'm going to try something a little bit provocative. And I guess the only other thing I could do would be to try maybe just some straight up airbrush blue. Let's see what I got. I do have some blue metallic. Probably warrants giving it a try. So my actual chrome cleaner, I've been pretty pleased with AK Chrome so far. I have liked it. I do need to varnish my stuff at some point, but like, definitely the chrome parts I've definitely dug. Doing a lot more experimentation with other shiny bits has been more experimental. Add a little bit of thinner to it, stir it up. Try round 2. You might need more thinner than that, but we're going to start slow, work our way up. Give it a couple more drops of thinner. And give it a shot. Make sure it's not cleaner. Nope. Alright, there we go. Let's try this now. See how that feels. The coverage is better, but it's not very blue. I want to go bluer.
Well, that's significantly bluer. But a lot closer to what I wanted. Make sure there's nothing errant on my hands, but like those two together, purple and blue. Good. I'm a little disappointed that it took Croxagore scales to get that much blue going, but it is what it is. Happy with the result. And it'll still look somewhat metallic. I think the next time that I do this, it'll be it's purple. It'll be that elven blue plus some of this laser phase crap, and then that Croxagore. Wow, this stuff is potent. Potent stuff. Let's get this in there and soak up as much of that errant pigment as I can. This guy's going to need to be thoroughly scrub-a-dubbed. Down to that hole, soak up as much as I can. One Q-tip can pull out a lot of pigment. Get it in there at the right time. Kool-Aid blue. That thing is way overpainted. I'm half tempted to just like straight up clean that guy off and do him again. I don't know if I have the will to do it, but let's blow some water through this thing. Send out. Brush certainly has suffered. It put you through a lot, buddy. All right. One more scoop. Be clean in there. One last run through. Out of Windex. Isopropyl alcohol, and this guy should be, in theory, good to go. I'll run a bunch of this through there, bubble it up, run it through, bubble it up, run it through. Smells like cheap vodka in this room. I'm going to run a little more through. There's still a little bit of blue coming out. This stuff does not want to escape. Yeah, now let's run it through clean. There you go, buddy. Am I sure that I like it? Not 100%. Don't dislike it. I feel like it just needs one other thing in it. Maybe that it doesn't need that laser face stuff. It may just need to be metallic. That's okay. Grappling this by the sections that are getting chromed over. But out of curiosity, stick this thing in there. And it's certainly bright. There's no doubt there. That doesn't look bad. I'm going to break it up with a bunch of chrome. The thing is, it lacks the subtlety that the other one has, but I may be able to work through that. The final solution may actually be this crap that I keep saying I don't think I like. Just this stuff with the Croxagore. This is just a little too... It's not letting enough of the texture underneath through it. But I like it. I like the color, and I like how much it's going to like pair off with sort of pinkish red and gold. These two guys next to each other. Color situations like they're good brothers. I do dig it. I think I can commit to that. I think I will remix that the same. And it'll look a lot less thick on there when I haven't done like two massive thick coats of stuff I put underneath. Do a little bit of airbrushing around this weapon to make it look a little bit more lightning-y. Of course, that loud paint is also going to be this entire section here. So I may need to subtle it out a little bit. It's good though, like honestly, and this stuff looks the part. Like this Croxagore scales is like got crazy blue in it. Like weird chemicals from some other planet blue. Thanks, Motorhead. Yeah, these guys are a, you know, reasonably matched pair. I did like how sort of tusk under there and the horns up there give them a little bit of variance. There's still a lot of work to do on this guy, and as I pull this guy out, I'm like, a couple things I would do there too, but we're getting there. Like the colors are strong, and having two of these things wheel down the table is going to be a blast, and basing them is going to be really cool. I'm pretty psyched. On that note, I think I am going to peace out for the evening. I got to let this thing dry, and tomorrow I basically have to do the same thing with... I don't feel comfortable putting... This is like dry to the touch, but I don't want to put any mask on it right now and then like peel the whole thing up. But tomorrow, hopefully, if work doesn't beat the daylights out of me, we will continue We'll get the head, the other arm done, the sides of this thing. It's going to be kind of crazy. And we'll see you then. Ciao.